you guys. Okay, I don't know. Volume is not moving. What's going on? Okay, let me go out and come back. Okay. Okay. So I don't know if you, I don't know what's going on. Anyway, so I see the volume moving now. Anyway, I wanted to come on and to talk about a few stories that are out here. There's so much stuff going on. I don't even know where to start. I guess I'm just gonna start with the whole Shannon Sharpe and Dr. Umar situation. Um, Now, like I already explained in the other video, those blogs put that picture, they highlighted LeBron's son and his date, right? And so, you know, people assume, and then they want to assume this so they can attack Black women in particular. But an attack on Black women is an attack on our community, whether people choose to believe that or not. But it really is. And I agree with Talib Kweli now that I'm truly seeing what he was saying. When you dig deeper into who's behind some of these pages and some of these accounts, you will find that it's not a Black person, in particular, not a Black woman. Yet people are trying to make these conversations about us to keep us in these arguments, or like there's some battle of the sexes going on. I don't care who LeBron is sleeping with. I don't care who his son is dating. I don't care nothing about none of these people and what they doing. Okay, it's none of my business. And I think that that is truly the attitude of most Black women in this country. Point blank, period. And so when you see these things, you should automatically know that it's probably just a BS that people are just trying to stir up. However, some people, they want to believe it because it boosts their ego. It makes them feel like they're wanted or more important somewhere because they think that people want to argue and fight over them. And it's really not even about that. I think I do get Dr. Umar's point, but I kind of wish that he would not have interjected himself into that conversation on Twitter, because then people took it to their blogs, because he kind of fed into what they were trying to do in the first place. Like I said, you guys didn't see them highlighting nobody else's children. Okay. So it kind of lets you know that that really wasn't about its graduation season. Let's highlight some stories of some children going to prom. It wasn't about that. It was about the fact that his date was a non-Black person. And they do that to LeBron too. They've been doing that to LeBron for several years. Even though he's married to a woman of color, I believe his wife is also multiracial. She's not technically looking at her, obviously everyone is going to put her in the box of Black, right? And I don't know how she identifies. I've never even heard Savannah in an interview, to be really, really honest. So I don't know what her identity is. And I'm not taking anything from her. I'm not telling her who she is. I just got through saying I don't know what she identifies as. Um, but to my understanding, from what I've been hearing, she is a woman of color herself. Um, but people for years have been trying to put it out there that he's having an affair with all these different women, and all these women that they put these stories out about are normally and usually a non-Black. Matter of fact, I've never seen him in a story like that with a Black woman. Anytime that these blogs post that they think that he's doing something, that woman is some other nationality, and that's just the truth of the matter. And if he was doing stuff with a Black woman, they wouldn't even put it up there. You guys get what I'm saying? Like, people are doing this for reasons in which they are trying to create issues and problems within our community between Black men and women. And this is not a new conversation. This is a very old conversation. But I do see what Talib Kweli was saying about that, because somebody just came out the blue and said, how many rappers are married to Black women? Like, why do you even care who married to who? Right? Because that's what y'all gonna jump in the comments and want to argue. So who is in the mindset of concerning themselves about who is married to who in hip hop, in particular today? Like, rap today is extremely different than what it was. So why is that even a conversation? I don't even who is married in hip hop period today, regardless of who they're married to, right? It's not the same conversation. So that's my point. And and then when he came into the conversation, I guess there was a young lady who is Black who came into the conversation. um but on the outside looking in, I see his point, how that was manipulated, right? And then you create this conversation and people don't want to believe that it was manipulated, but it really was. And that's what these blogs are doing. They're manipulating these conversations to keep Black people involved in foolishness instead of dealing with things that are real. And I feel like that prom was so long ago, I have no clue why people are still even talking about it. But Dr. Umar said what he said. And so when the game caught himself chiming in, and like I said, why was that even on Hollywood Unlocked? Like, the Hollywood Unlocked crowd is not a Dr. Umar crowd, okay? Period. I said what I said on that. And so I didn't, you can see how people are trying to manipulate arguments and trying to stir and create issues, and hate and create problems for women that I guess they take issue with, or they feel like they are in competition with, or whatever it is. But nobody cares what LeBron is doing. Nobody cares what his son is doing. That's the people's business. That's it, and that's all. But this conversation, for whatever reason, is still going, and it's doing just like I just explained, to create issues where there really is not. People know that there are certain Black people in this country this stuff has been going on since we've been in this country. So we understand how to identify the Shannon Sharps of the world, and the other ones. We know who they are, and we know how they operate, and we know the only time they come through to operate, right? Like, this was a conversation, I guess, that was just right up his alley, because he jumped in and started saying that, oh, doesn't nobody want to marry, get in no Black marriage. Black people they're miserable in their marriages to be miserable. Why would they just go be happy with the person you want to be happy with? How do you know that you're going to be miserable with somebody that you're not even dating, number one? And then who, as a Black person, would go on mainstream media and start bad mouthing their own community to make a point about somebody going on a date with a non-Black person? Like, who does that? What is the mindset of the person that does that? And who do you think you're defending? Who do you think you're defending? And who do you think you're putting your armor on for? And do you think that they would do that for you? And yeah, it matters. It does matter. And I understand you have a job in these people's company, and so you may feel, because you're receiving a paycheck and you feel that paycheck is coming from them, um, you know, but the paycheck is truly coming from the money that they're generating, however they generate the money out from the show and from Black men that's running up and down a field. Anyway, the majority of majority Black male teams that are running up and down field. So you really don't owe people these battles and these fights and putting on the armor and all that stuff. It's like, I do agree with Dr. Umar about that. Like, and it was just a better way for him to word whatever he was trying to say. And I feel like he know that. I feel like he did that intentionally. And I didn't know a whole lot about him. So I thought I would go and Google and do a little bit of a dive into who a Shannon Sharpe is. And, I think he's 53. He's early 50s. So I'm assuming that he played football in the 90s. And he has a lot of domestic violence attached to his name, and an essay, um, you know, I guess case or charge, or allegedly the accusation was put out here about essay as well. You guys know what essay means, right? I can't say it on here, but you know what I'm talking about. So you got an essay on you. You got domestic violence that dates back to the 90s. They talk about you kicked in the door, try to take some woman's child away from her. And I guess that was in his younger years. So he didn't want to pay child support. Now, this is all the stuff is going on with the women that he is so happy with. And that, you know, the misery is over there with the black folk, but you kick it indoors, you know, try to take folk children so you don't have to pay them child support. And all these children, you know, they're adults now. I think they said the son is like 30 something or 31 or somewhere in there. And, you know, the other two kids, by the way, all three different mothers. You know, and you're not married to nobody. So when we're talking about miserable, how do we really define that? Because that's not sounding like heavenly bliss. The stuff that you're going through in your relationships is just not giving. It's not giving blissful. Okay, it's not giving. The black woman needs to give a damn. Okay, I just wanted to put that out there because people always got so much to say and they just really need to cut it out. Like, yeah, you're not even somebody that anybody shouldn't even concern themselves with, black, white, green, or purple. Okay, and I feel like these women that's dealing with you can tell it better than I can. But anyway, Dr. Umar kind of responded again this morning. And I was tickled because he kind of was like, he said what he had to say about Shannon Sharpe, and whoever else got anything to say. But then he said, you know, to the people in my comments who keep coming in my comments talking about, you know, LeBron's son, don't go to school with black girls. You know, he's obviously going to date who he's around. And who he's been raised around, you know, he's like, for the people that's coming in my comments saying that, like that, when, you know, you don't have to take the person, somebody from prom from your school. You could take whoever you want to take. And that was my point. But then it goes back to my point that I was saying in my last video, because I kind of felt like he was going to say that. You know, it's about who LeBron and Savannah are. We can't tell those people how to raise their children and who they are. We don't know who they are. I don't know them. So I can't speak to them. I'm not going to sit here like I can speak to these people's character. You know, I can't speak to their character to say that they're really trying to give their children, or I shouldn't even I'm not going to put it on her. I'm going to put it on him because he is the identifiable African American in that marriage. So if he's not giving his kids his culture, he doesn't care about it, then why would the child pick that up? And that's what I was trying to say in that last video. Like, that's something that was instilled in me. Like, I was around the culture, my culture. The things that I know and that I appreciate and love about being black is because it was given to me. Okay, and these children are not given that, and like that's on the black parent to give that to their child if they're gonna instill that. Like, you can't put that on her because she may have been, you know, raised in some other culture, so she's gonna give her kids what she is and what she knows. And that's why I'm saying it's on him to do that. And so, you know, he may not feel that way. I don't know him. I can't say that. And people like Shannon Sharpe letting you know that that's not who they are. He's letting you know that that's not who he is. Okay? If black people are in misery, as you say, and that's what you think, by the way, when I also pulled the divorce rate, which he, like I said, when you put it, Google said he has never been married, child. Google tell you. Google said he has never been married. Okay. When you put him in Google, it tells you that. So, but anyway, the divorce rate says that interracial couples get divorced. They have the highest rate of divorces than anybody. The people that marry, they're into their own. And possibly, I would think, what's keeping the marriages between two white people, I won't even put it on black folk, two white people, is because there's the common ground, the relatability. I understand you. You understand me. You understand my position. You understand what it was like when I was a child as such and such growing up in this country. And so those are things that normally would bond people, common sensual people, people who get it, right? These are the things that would bond people. And so that would probably make that marriage a little bit stronger, especially if they, if it's a real marriage, because everybody is not getting married for the right reasons. And that's a whole nother conversation and a whole nother thing that's on the list of why divorces happen. Um, so you have the highest rate of divorces. So the misery is not really where you thinking is fall and poo poo. So misses with the nonsense. You get in the media trying to disrespect black folk, for whatever reason is, it just puts you on a list, and it continues to make the point, and it makes the point that Dr. Umar is making, that there is something not right with black men who are doing that. Okay, it's something that's internal that you have never addressed within your life. You've never addressed it, so you don't know how to address it, or you just don't want to, because you think that money is masking those things, and it's really not. And that's another thing. You a paycheck to these girls. So you don't want to go there. We could really go. We could run this race, okay? Because a lot of these women these days, they just coming straight out and letting it be known that that's what they're after. Okay? So you really don't want to go there. Everybody that's coming up to you that you're dealing with is not with you because they so heavily in love with you, okay? The man. It clearly says you knocking them in the head. You already know that. Anyway, that's all allegedly, but all these stories are all over social media and all over Google that he had a bunch of domestic situations. So at least three. There was one in the early, like I said, in the 90s when he snatched the child out the house. The mother, the first child's mother, went to get a restraining order against him, and she wanted him charged with domestic violence. I don't know how that ended, right? Um, because you know how that goes. People will pay you off to make you go away. And then he had the essay case with some lady, and I think he tried to brush that off as she was some type of groupie or something. So yeah, like he's not somebody I'm trying to hear from. And like I said before, a lot of these guys, when you hear them come running out, even including the game, because he has some SA or R word charges on him too, right? And so all of them, they come running out, running their mouth, all of them. Just name one. Every single solitary one of them. They're usually very problematic people, right? And so you're not the best of the best. You're not the cream of the crop in black men. Okay. So be clear, the black woman is not concerned. God is in a blessing. He's in the business of blessing. Okay. That's the business that God is in. And we recognize that. So no one is concerned about what you're doing, child. You can run over there and telling people whatever you want, but understand that the facts about you and the facts about your marriages are out here as well. Okay. So there's no heavenly bliss, no more in the black community, and no more in the biracial, interracial marrying community. Okay. The heavenly bliss don't exist any greater in any other community than in your own. So anyway, Dr. Umar, he started going in on people who were saying that about the kids not going to school with, you know, people. But like I said, that comes down to the parents and what you instill in your kids. And with that whole drug epidemic, black people really suffered. Like our family structure suffered greatly, and we all know this. We all could probably say we've had conversations with people talking about their fathers are still locked up, right, from stuff that happened back in the 90s, right? We know people when the mother is locked up and the father, right? Or they were both going in and out of jail. They were both in and out of the home because they were on dealing with addiction. So it really tore, it tore the core. It just tore our community up. It really did. And like I was saying about Kevin Samuels and O'Shea Duke Jackson, how they try to say all this stuff. But there was a black family structure before. When I remember growing up, being real young, and everybody that lived on the street where I lived on with my father in New Orleans, um, it was a family. Every kid that I was playing with, the mother and the father was in the household. So that's not a true statement, the stuff that people are trying to put out here, and this whole thing like of Dr. Umar keep repeating this thing about Black women not getting married. Yes, they do. And like a young woman was saying in a really great live, and I really should go and find it and post what she said, people need to start having a conversation that all Black women don't even want to get married. We don't want to get married. Every Black woman is not looking for a husband, and they're not necessarily LGBT either, but they're not looking for a husband. People can see what's going on in these marriages and they don't want it. So have that conversation. Have that conversation to convince some of these Black women that they should care about marriage. Have that conversation that way, because every Black woman is not out here looking for a husband. So that maybe that's why the rate is low, and it's not necessarily what you're thinking it is. But there clearly is a business for that's doing really well. The Black bride wedding business, that the event planning, the pictures, the photographer, the flowers, the bakeries, all that. It's a business out here. It's a whole industry, is what I mean to say. It's a whole industry out here for Black brides. So if they're making money, that means somebody Black is getting married. So, no, every Black woman is not going to get married. The world is not going to work like that. Every single solitary Black woman over 21 is not going to be married, because y'all want to use that as an excuse to not be decent. Okay, because that's clearly, to me, what these guys are doing. They sitting out here complaining about a whole lot of nothing, because at the end of the day, a lot of them are not even married themselves, and they're overly concerned about people that are not married. Like, why is that? Why do you even care? You're not married yourself. Like, you haven't even taken your own advice and went and done the right thing by some woman, but then you're trying to tell women how they should be running around looking for a husband. And a lot of, like the lady was saying in that live, and I really wish I have to go back to the Black Woman Spheres channel and find that live, because that was a really great discussion. Like, there are a lot of Black women who don't care, who just don't care. So, and why should they, when they're sitting watching stuff? Like I said, this guy have all this domestic violence stuff. I'm saying, yeah, he don't like Black women. Hallelujah for that. Praise him. Wake up every day and praise him that he don't like Black women. Okay. So, I mean, he's nobody nobody's concerned about what he's talking about. But then at the same, like Dr. Umar said, why would you go into mainstream media and, use your community to try to make a stupid point? The point, no one cares. And then another thing that I wanted to touch on, well, I'll wait to touch on that, because I wanted to touch on, I'll go ahead on and bring, because I don't even have the video, and I don't want to play that video anyway. That guy, the Black guy with the 34 kids, that's going viral all over the place. Uh, and who was I listening to? I think that was Nick at Night. She really had me tickled. But she said, girl, he just shut it down. He done went on and shut Facebook. He done went on and shut the page down. But here's my thing, because I don't feel any kind of way about this man having 34 kids. I'm sorry. I know that's probably like, oh, what? Yeah, I get it. I feel like, yeah, we get that he, and like I said, this is about what's instilled in people. And people have to be mindful of that. Like Funky Dineva say, some of y'all was not raised. Y'all wasn't even raised. Y'all just here. You know what I'm saying? Everybody was not given that a value set, and it's not, and I'm not laughing at that, because that's not even their fault. I'm laughing at Funky Dot even talking about some of y'all wasn't even raised, because it's a true statement. Some people just wasn't even raised. They're just here. They were, even as kids, was just making it, right? Because they were here. And so you can't fault people for what they don't know. You can't fault people for what they really don't understand, right? And it's that part for me. So I don't feel a way about the man having 34 kids, because I understand that there could be really some real reasons why he don't see an issue with that. And he even says that right in that video. But she said he went on and shut the Facebook down. But my whole thing is, like, right when people was talking about this prom stuff, for me to tie this back into this LeBron stuff, People will say, "Oh, don't talk about people's children. Don't talk. Oh, she's a child. Oh, he's a child, and all this stuff, right?" And like I went in the comments on one of them blogs and said, "Keep that same energy for everybody's child. You guys need to keep that same energy for these children out here, okay? These 34 children, because some of those kids are old enough to understand and know what you got. Because I think they say his oldest child is like 14, 15 years of age, and then there were 9 missing. So I don't know even how old those are, but those kids are probably on social media and they hear the stuff that y'all saying. So keep the same energy for those children. See, but some of y'all be so quick to throw y'all armor on because y'all so embarrassed somebody saying something about a white person, or you think somebody saying something about a white person, that y'all be ready to armor up and go to war for, for them. And that little girl probably ain't even blinking over that story, to be really honest. Because whatever her relationship is with him, it is what it is, and she can move on to whoever else she want to move on to, and she understands that. Like, can anybody stop nobody from doing nothing? People gonna do what they gotta do. So there was no reason for anybody to be pretending like you so outraged somebody talking about a child, and then less than 6 days later, y'all sitting out here talking about 34 children, you know, or talking about their father. And so it's that part for me. Like, people need to keep the same energy. When y'all hear in y'all fake outrage, when y'all hear this fake outrage, okay, because some of those that man's kids is old enough to be on social media reading what y'all saying. And like I said, you can't fault him from what he don't know, because you don't know his story. You don't know his real story. You don't know why he feels that way about the decisions that he made. And those kids are here. They're here. So there's nothing anybody can do about that. I mean, if he single-handedly is trying to keep the black keep the black community alive, I ain't mad at him. Anyway, I was just tickled about that. I was like, less than 6 days later, they out here jumping on some kids, like leading the people's kids out of it. Like, if y'all are saying that, then what makes it right for you to start going off and going into about how old the kids are, how many mamas it is. And it's a lot. It's a lot. I feel like it was a better way as a community for us to have a conversation about that, about the lack of responsibility and accountability that fathers take in this country, even though we're seeing a black person, and there are some people that are not black who are doing that as well. Is the story is just not out here for us to talk about it. But I'm sure he's not the only person that's doing that. And I don't know. It's just a better way to have conversations without pointing the finger at people and making people's children feel a way about what you're saying. But I think Nick and I said they started pulling his background check, and all kind of stuff was coming up, and I think that he just went on and shut it down. He I don't see the video on his Facebook page, but I just thought that was interesting. Like, oh, so now we attacking kids again. We're on the kids again. Yeah. And I thought that was probably the realest conversation I heard from that, so-called quote unquote divestment group. And I think they're calling themselves Black Women Empowerment now. But I thought that was a really good conversation, and that's probably one of the only ones I would recommend over there. But it was a really good conversation because I felt like that young lady was being really honest. Like, everybody's not trying to get married, and so let's incorporate that into the conversation as well. you know some of these numbers are coming from that. you know some of these young women are seeing their moms get disappointed. They're seeing people in their family get disappointed. They've been disappointed by their father. They've been disappointed by some of the men that they are trying to deal with. Maybe they just don't want to they don't want to deal with all of that. So, and people can call it, some people will call that trauma. They're trying to say that's trauma, and that's something you have to face and deal with, that fear, especially if you want to have a family. But, and I hate to say it, all the way across the board, because people love to make this a black conversation, but if Shannon Sharpe If Shannon Sharpe, the daddy of three with three different white mamas, is out here making babies in other places, then this is not just a black conversation. This is a conversation all the way across the board for women. There are women who are just raising kids by themselves now. And some of them don't have a problem with that, especially if they can afford to do that. And this is why you see a lot of black women having kids later on in life, and this is why you see a lot of them who don't even have children at all, or they will have one, right? So yeah, it's a real conversation. But these guys are trying to use this on YouTube to make black women look away. And so they don't want to have real dialogue, right? So they create a bunch of foolishness. And like I said, I still stand by what I said, Dr. Umar. I don't know where he getting those stats from. The 1 in 4 black women and all this, whatever because that sounds like some of that Kevin Samuels. You went to the school of Kevin Samuels or something. And then what tickled me about Kevin Samuels, because one time he was on somebody else's platform and this young lady asked him, like, where do you get your stats from? And he's like, what stats? I keep bringing up stats. I'm talking real life. So all of a sudden now, the people that's running around trying to defend him is trying to act like he was using stats, but he really wasn't. He wasn't, and he admitted that himself, that he was talking from quote unquote real life, which I don't know how you could talk from quote unquote real life because you do not know every black woman. So you cannot talk from real life. You're talking from wherever you're coming from, and from that demographic wherever you are, right? And it could be different in other places. And so you don't know what every black woman is doing in America. It's impossible for you to know that. You don't know how they feel about marriage. But anyway, they don't really want to have a real conversation anyway. They just using this to try to make, and I guess it's building their self-esteem, child. I don't know what it's doing for them to make it sound as if they have, something to complain about. And then as do the Shannon Sharpe thing, that black people are somehow going to be miserable if they are together, right? But a lot of us, if you're over a certain age, like our grandparents were staying married for a long time. They stayed married till death did them part, right? To the same person. And people, they want to come in and argue that those women are unhappy, but they were married and they stayed married. Whatever their reasons was to stay in married was their reasons to stay in married. And this country was also a different place as well. So you did best by keeping that man in the house with you, okay? When you're dealing with that level of hatred on you that was dead in your face and you couldn't do nothing about it. So yeah, those bonds, they stayed in those bonds for a whole lot of reasons. Not just because the man was doing this and doing that and outside of the house, whatever. People always want to find something to argue about, but then there's certain things that they always forget about, right? But anyway, though our grandparents, my grandparents, people's grandparents stayed married for a long time. They stayed married until, like I said, until death did them part. And so it can happen and it can work. That it depends on the people that are in these marriages. I think that is what it is at the end of the day. But people on here want to have immature conversations because, like I said, maybe it's building self-esteem for them. And inferior complex is a real thing. It's a real thing. I'm not a doctor. I guess it's not for me to speak on it. But you can definitely go to any doctor and they will explain that to you. It's a real thing. People really do feel like there are other people better than them, and they want to gravitate to that because they don't feel good about themselves, and that's a real issue too that never gets addressed. But you can listen to these guys and you hear it. You hear them saying it. You can hear it what they're saying, that they don't feel good about themselves. Anyway, so the other conversation that I wanted to get into is so much stuff going on. I was going to show Dr. Umar, but that's okay. I'm going to leave him alone. You guys should go over to his channel, though. He went live this morning. He spoke on it again. Like I said, he went into, caught himself going in on the people who were saying that the little boy don't go to school with black people. He was saying, that was for his parents to take him to, to fellowship with his community, to gather in places where black people are. And yeah, that is up to his parents to do that. And that's the point. That's kind of what I said in that video. And if they were not raised that way, then they're not going to raise their children that way. And like I said, I think that Savannah is of some other culture anyway. And so she's going to give her kids what she knows, and he's going to give his kids what he knows based on how he feel about it. Um, and that's it. That's how. It's not for me to tell anybody who to go to prom with, y'all. It was just a prom, okay? You need to calm down. Um, anyway, the other story that's out here is Tasha K. Tasha K, child. And this is the second time that she has done this to this man. Do I have the video? I don't even know if I put the video on here. Let me see if I could. I don't know if it's going to load or not. It might not load because yeah, it's not going to load. But she went live with this lady. Let me see if I can play it from here. And she is going to expose John Gray again. She is saying that he was having an affair again. But I was listening to his do I have it? I don't have that one on here either. What was I thinking? Uh, I didn't upload either. I didn't well, I have the one about Cora Jakes. I'm gonna play that one as well. Well, it's not her, but it's the lady that is accusing her or something. Um well, anyway, Tasha K is gonna do an interview with some lady. I guess it's gonna appear on her website, Tasha K Live. And the lady was saying, I guess she had an affair with John Grant. You guys remember he got into some whole conversation about having an affair before, and the lady had recorded him in the conversation. I mean, on the phone with her. She recorded it, and I guess somebody delivered the recording to Tasha K. This was a year or so ago. And now he's out here with another situation. I don't know if it's the same lady or not. But she kind of dropped that audio letting you know that she's getting ready to interview this lady. And so he went live too. What did I do with it? Oh, I really wasn't prepared for this, and I thought it was. I'm sorry. I don't even have the well, you can go to his Instagram because I don't want to put his video on here because I don't want nobody coming over here putting strikes on my page. Um, but yeah, I was gonna play the audio of it, but I think I have it on, and I can't upload it now. But anyway, she dropped this audio and she was saying, she's talking to this lady, and so I guess she's gonna interview her. But he went live, and his live is about 30 minutes long. He started talking about he was abused, and Tasha K says that as well. And I think the picture is in this video. She says that he and his attorney contacted him, and they were trying to get her not to do the interview, not to air the interview. As you can see her in the picture right there from the video. And she said that she was going to tell her audience about the conversation with the lawyer later on. But obviously, she is airing the video. So, yeah, I guess they didn't come to any agreement. And she claims that she don't take money, so they couldn't not pay her to not air it. Um, so I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. But he went live as well, and he was saying that because of his childhood, things that happened to him in his childhood, that he is dealing with some demons that he needs to address. And he was talking to a doctor. The doctor told him that when you deal with childhood trauma like that, you develop a break in your personality, I guess. And he's saying that he is one person and then he has his other, I guess he's trying to say like an alter person who gets involved in all this dark stuff. Now, some YouTubers, and this is all allegedly, you guys, because some YouTubers are saying they feel like the person is a man. Tasha K really don't get into the full conversation with this lady about if it's her. I think she did say if it was her. I don't know. But another YouTuber was saying that they feel like it's a man. I feel like it's a man that abused him. Based on what he was saying, it sounded like a man abused him when he was a child. And I should say the warning with this conversation at this point because it could be triggering. Um, yeah, in his life, he's talking about his that he was abused as a child, and that these things have carried into his adult life, and this is why he keeps getting involved in all this stuff, and disrespecting his wife. You know, he was saying that that he's finally going to just deal with it. He has some other pastors and a doctor now that's going to assist him with healing with everything. And I'm assuming that he put that out there because he knew that Tasha K was going to put this interview out there. So I don't know if he's because it sounded like in his conversation he was saying that he had some things happen, and he was saying that there have been times when he questioned his sexuality, and so that's why I feel like some YouTubers feel like this person that he was having an affair with might be a man, or whatever video that's out there, it might be, him with another man. I don't know. In the live that Tasha K put up, a piece of it, it looked as if she sound. Well, let me hear you guys hearing.
He was having uh, an affair with Pastor John Gray, who is married to Aventer Gray, and they are currently running the Relentless Church. And so I just want to start with asking you, well, thanking you for even agreeing to do this anonymously. Yes, I want to. Okay. And two, I guess, how did you meet Pastor John Gray?
Well, he actually reached out to me on my online websites.
Okay.
Escort and body runs, he reached out to me.
Okay. So what do you do for a living, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm an adult entertainer.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I didn't know that. Okay. Yeah. In what field? What is your lane?
Well, I have I'm not going to say the location, but I have a location in Florida.
So yeah, as you could hear, so it sounds like she says she's a dancer or something. So I don't know. But he went live and he was saying that he's getting ready to deal with his demons. Um, I don't know what this lady is going to present to Tasha K, and it sounds like it is a video or something. So there's a way that he could deny it, deny whatever the lady is going to say because she probably has something on film. I mean, on video. So he can't deny that whatever she's saying happened. And so maybe that's why he decided to go live. And he.
So that's where I'm at. Don't be afraid of consequences or ridicule. Of course, it will come. But I tell you this, the healing and the freedom and the deliverance on the other side is going to be worth it. If you really want to know about my pathology, I got an album right now on iTunes. It's called The Journey. I got a song on there called I'm Sorry, Lord. Another song called Church Boy. And it talks about the things that I was in bondage to growing up. Those things never left. They never left. So now I'm in the middle of a marriage with this beautiful woman, but those demons and those habits and those patterns were still there. And you cover them over with singing and preaching and gifts and travel, but at the end of the day, you still don't know how to handle intimacy because you won't let anyone see into you. I know what that's like. The world may never understand true healing and deliverance in all of its forms. But I believe with my soul that the blood of Jesus still has the power to deliver. And so for me, my mind has been shackled for years. And I'm not living that way anymore. And so I'm asking for you guys to, if my name comes across your mind, keep me in prayer, because it's a very daunting task. I see one of my cousins on Instagram, and she knows full well how the devil has taken out almost every man in our family. And we have never ended our journey well. The places where I failed, I'm deeply remorseful of in the past. But I made a vow to God, and I mean to keep it. And I made my decisions some time ago. But your decisions must be followed up by corresponding actions. And that's where I failed over and over again. Crying at the altar, laying out, speaking in tongues, but then doing nothing to change or break the pattern or the cycle. But there are people who God has sent now to help me with this part of my journey. And I'm going to share with you guys how the Lord finishes me. Now unto him who is able to keep you from falling and to present you faultless before his presence with exceeding joy. To the only wise God be glory, majesty, dominion, and power, both now and forevermore. And that's where I'm at this phase of my life. That God is getting the glory, and he shall continue to get the glory. So, I love you guys. I'm grateful. I'm asking that you all will join me, and when the opportunity comes for you to participate, you'll find yourself next to me doing the hard work. My purpose in life is to make sure no other man sits in silence and shame and is afraid to deal with the truth of your condition, that you don't have to lie because you love God and you're afraid that people are going to call you X, Y, and Z because you got some stuff in you that's dark and nasty and scary. It happens to many of us. And I let that devil win by not talking about it. You cannot stay silent. We overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. Shame can sit on you for the rest of your life and cause you to lose your mind. Or you can turn right now today and then ask the Lord to give you a plan to turn your life around. To those men like me who have been abused and you battled with understanding sex and sexuality, people ask me, have you ever questioned your sexuality? How could you not? When you're abused, you don't even have a framework. There's no judgment there. That's truth. And it manifests in unhealthy ways when you're trying to prove your machismo. I thank you for listening. I hope that you all understand that freedom is not just a concept over there. It can be the reality in here. So I'm going to take some time to get refreshed, to get rest.
So yeah, you guys can hear him saying that he was abused. So I'm like, okay, what does that have to do with, I guess he's saying because of that is creating this energy within him to see all these people. But yeah, so that's why I guess some YouTubers are saying they think that it's a man in the video. I don't know. And I don't know how Tasha K's interview went because it's over on her website. So I don't know if she might bring it to YouTube. She may not, but I'm sure once people see it, they're going to come and create content around it. Somebody will probably create content around it. Anyway, but yeah, so he could not get Tasha to not run the interview. I think he went live yesterday, and he decided to, say what he was saying. He's saying after he starts getting the help that he needs, that he's going to try to reach out to other men who may be in the same position. And I think he said it's going to be called Where Lions Gather. I don't know. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about that whole situation. Now y'all know if y'all out here doing things and these women get mad at y'all, they gonna send the video over there to Tasha K. So I mean, I don't even know why people let people record them in the first place, but to each his own. And then again, maybe he didn't know the lady was recording. I don't know. I don't know the story. But let me know what you guys think about that. And then the other story, since we're on church folk, is Cora Jakes, who is the oldest daughter of T.D. Jakes. To my understanding, and I think the picture was here in this video as well, her husband was arrested around May 4th for, wow, what word can I use on here? For bad behavior with a child. And so yeah, and then it turns out the child was adopted. So this wasn't his child, or her daughter with someone else is an adopted child, and I believe they have two kids that are adopted and close to the same age. And I don't know how long she's had these children. I don't know if she had them from birth or if she just adopted them recently. But that's really sad. The little girl looks like she's preteen, and that's horrible. It's bad enough she's adopted and she, have other things that she's going to deal with. Then to have to deal with something like that, right? So I do feel for her. Um, I don't know. I don't know what happened. Obviously, Cora is not going to address this, but Larry Reed, of course, was addressing it over on his channel. And he kind of is the person here on YouTube that you go to for the church talk. I guess I'll just call it church talk, because he will normally runs, stories about people who are, pastors or in the gospel world. And according to him, he has sources, and normally people will send him this information, and then he reports the information. So another story, since that story about the husband came out, right? And like I said, Larry Reed was over there talking about it. A young lady came forward, and she said that Cora went about getting, I guess the little boy is her son. I'm not sure if they have the child, or if she has the child, Cora Jakes, if Cora has the child, or if she was trying to get the child. Let me play the mother's video real quick and let you guys hear her. I do have her.
I was homeless. I was leaving a 4 or 5 year relationship. I had 3 kids already, and I was pregnant with my 4th born, Jason. When we got reacquainted, she told me that she'll be there to help me. She told me that she was only there to help me. After I had Jason, it was just like I was just set up from the beginning. She was not there to help me. She was actually there to take my child. And she did everything that she could to get what she wanted, her and her husband. From constantly telling me that I didn't have my son for myself, to backing me in a corner in her office at her home when they stayed in Grand Prairie, her and her husband Brandon, and telling me that if I did not give my son to them, that they would take him from me. Making me feel like I was inadequate to take care of one child, although I already had 3 kids. Making it seem like she was there to help me But the whole time she was planning and conniving to take my son Jason. After I had my son Jason, because while I was pregnant with Jason, I was depressed. Mentally, physically, spiritually, I was fucking depressed. You understand what I'm saying? So when I had Jason, I went into postpartum depression. I never dealt with that in my whole entire life or having children. I never dealt with postpartum depression. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know how to deal with it. I just know that I was dealing with it. You know, and she took that and she prayed on my vulnerability to the point where she had me in front of a fucking MacBook recording and asking me questions, talking about it was counseling, but it wasn't counseling, because later on down the line, a few years later, she would then use that evidence against me in court when I went to fight for my son. Okay? She used that shit against me. Okay? What was supposed to be for healing, what was supposed to be for ministry, what was supposed to be for all of that, she used it against me in court to take my son, okay? Now, I don't know many mothers that's dealt with postpartum depression, but that shit is fucking real, okay? It causes you to be detached from your child. It causes you to feel like, you know, maybe you don't love your child. You know, this shit is real. And in my case, it caused a detachment. Not that I didn't love him, but I didn't feel close and connected with him because of the postpartum depression, not because of who I am as a mom. And that bitch prayed on that shit. And when you fighting against people with money, and I'm talking about real money, that shit is hard as fuck. I represented myself in trial by myself. And I had to sit up there and come to the agreement because I didn't know how to fight no more. They paid my lawyer off. They paid the judge off. They didn't even want to submit their income documents, her health documents, nothing, to the point where they had even their little minions around them doing the work for them. You know what I'm saying? That girl, for a whole year straight after I had my baby, did whatever she could to put it in my head that my baby was not for me, to the point where she brought down a so-called prophet by the name of Gaylena, okay? And they performed this whole little, I call it an exorcist now. Had me laying on the floor, speaking in tongues over me, pouring oil over me. Then she comes up with this elaborate story talking about I didn't have Jason for myself, that I had Jason for Cora and Brandon Coleman, and how she could see Brandon sitting on some type of throne. And it was my son that was sitting on his lap, and he was just laughing and playing. To the point where Cora told me after I had my son Liam that God gave me Liam so that Jason's real brother could come. Who the fuck is Jason's real brother? Because bitch, it sure ain't no child coming from you, because you can't have kids. She can't have kids. You understand what I'm saying? The bitch can't have kids. I'm not the first person that she tried this with, but I'm the only person that she got this fucking far with. And I'm tired of being quiet. To the point now, from 2018 to now, Brandon Coleman was locked up on May 4th for sexually assaulting the adopted daughter, Umar. And it wasn't just a one-time offense. It was continuous sexual assault. So now I gotta sit here and I gotta think, well, did he touch my baby? Did he touch my baby? You understand what I'm saying? I haven't seen my child since 2018. They keep him from me. I don't know where they stay. I don't know where they live. I don't know their day-to-day thing. I don't know anything. This whole fucking time. And this man has been a motherfucking molester in your motherfucking home, but you so worried about making this home, making this family, having these kids that you're willing to steal, kill, and destroy other people's lives, other people's families. I can't tell y'all how many times my baby sit up here and ask me for their brother. Mama, when we gonna see Jason? Mama, when is Jason coming home? And I don't have an answer to give them.
So I don't know what y'all think. Um, this is all allegedly. I mean, the lady has a right to her story, right? Her truth is her truth for her to tell. Um, I do see a little boy, and I told y'all I'm not really about the exploitation of children, so I'm not gonna be posting nobody's kids. But I do see some kids, and there is the little boy looks a little younger than the girl, and the girl, like I said, she looks preteen. So the little boy is probably a little younger, maybe 9, 8, 9. Um, and I don't know. I have heard stories like that before about people. Like, I mean, you know, I don't know. I feel like why not just go through the regular adoption process though? Why do you need to? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, that's the part I don't understand. Why she just didn't go through the regular adoption process. But then, yeah, that is concerning. But I think I read that Cora is separated from the husband. So I don't, um, but I understand. I definitely understand the mother's concern hearing that this man was arrested for something like that, and then how you kind of manipulated, allegedly, how she may have manipulated the situation to get this little boy, and then that's what's going on in your house. So I get what the mother is saying, and I understand her concerns. Um, I don't know. I don't know if she can take that to the courts and see if maybe they will turn the child back over to her. I don't know. And if she has the other kids, then why? What was so hard about her taking care of the one more? Like she's saying, like why would they take one child and then leave the other kids there? I don't know. I don't. I don't know the full story. I don't know anything about this lady. This story is just kind of out there that she was saying that the way she went about getting her son so she could adopt him was some trickery, but like I said, there is a normal, regular process of adoption. Why she just did not go through there? There's all kind of kids. They say there's all these kids that need to be adopted out here. Why do you need to take somebody's child from them that you know or that you were supposed to be mentoring or something? I don't know. I don't know what's true, what's not. This is all allegedly. Y'all can let me know how y'all feel about all these stories in the comments. And yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if Cora is going to say anything about this or not. Maybe she feels like if she doesn't say anything, it'll just go away. Um, yeah, but it's always a lot of stuff going on in that church, right? That church scene. And, I was reading an article that was saying that the black church, is not what he's, the side. Like a lot of people are falling off from the black church. It's pretty much what the article was saying, that people are not wanting to, they don't trust it like they used to, and it's not the same anyway. Like, so I can understand why people would not trust it, because it's definitely not. And then it's all this stuff that comes out, like and yeah, we're all human. I got it. We're all human. Um, but it's just a lack of what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, the lack of self control for me. you know, and you're supposed to be a man of God or a woman of God that people will quickly and easily display in front of people, right? And it's that part for me. Like it's too easy to come and give this big speech about you were sorry and you dealing with demons and stuff. And it's like people who really need help, who are not of God, you know, they go to church to get this that strength and that peace and that guidance from you. But your stuff is is wilder than the people that's coming to the church. You know what I'm saying? Like it's that part. And I think that's what's turning people out, because if your stuff is wilder than mine, then what am I going in there for? What am I really getting from you? What can I really, we're gonna sit here and exchange war stories? I mean, that's what we're doing. You know, and so it's something about the transparency, but it's also something about just self-control and dignity and really being truly of God and really trying to do God's work that's missing, I think. And I think that's why people are leaving. Because like I said, if we can't do nothing else but exchange war stories, and I could do that on the streets with anybody. Like I could come on YouTube and we could just sit here and talk about, and girl, I remember this time. You know, I mean, anybody can do that when anywhere. We don't need to go into these buildings to do that. And there's no healing in that when I'm going in this building trying to talk to somebody that I should be able to trust, and then I find out, and then you try to lock me in the in your office. I mean, it's a lot of stories out. Here's a lot of stuff out here. A lot of abuse, a lot of children who were abused and never spoke of it. And so it's a lot of trauma and drama that just go on in these buildings. And like I said, why even go in the building if it's wilder in the church than it is out in the streets? And so I think that's what it is that's kind of turning people off from it. You know, these people just lack something that people either they knew how to just hide it really well, or they, you know, they just wasn't doing it. It's one or the other, and maybe it was both. I don't know, but it's definitely different. It's definitely a different feel. Um, you know, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. I don't know what to believe on the Cora Jakes, so I'm not accusing her of nothing. All of that is allegedly. I'm just saying, you know, when you hear all of this stuff, it is a turnoff. You know, you might as well just grab your Bible and have your relationship with God on your own at the end of the day. Because, you know, I don't know. But let me know what you guys think about all these stories in the comments, and I will see you guys in the next video.